This past Friday, the assembly day, we had a short period. We took our quiz and we did the homework from what, Thursday night. And in Thursday night's homework, you had to write some code that removed an item, removed a value from an array list. And that was extremely tricky. So, especially if you were not in school Friday, you need to pay attention to this, or else it's probably not going to work the way you think it does. Okay, we have an array list of type integer, so it can hold some numerics. And I put in there 5, 6, 3, 3, 6, 3, 3. So let's go ahead and comment this out first of all. And just display the list so you know what it looks like. Okay, and so there it is. It's got 1, 5 at the very beginning. It's got 2 6s in position 1, and then over here a few positions later. And it's got 2 pairs of 3s back to back. Okay, and let's say we want to remove the 6s from the list. So a remove method that removes a value from an array list. So let's go ahead and call remove, and I called it remove num. So there's remove num, and you give it the parameter your array list, or list 1 mine's called, and then what you want to remove is 6. So we loop through the array list. That looks good. And we want to see if a value is equal to the incoming parameter num. So it's 6 in the first example. So whenever you find a 6, you go list.remove I. Okay? Looks pretty simple. Don't forget, you cannot use an enhanced for loop on this. Enhanced for loops don't allow us to replace values or delete values. So if I did int I colon list, that would not work. Let me just make sure we get past that little hurdle first. So if I equals num, then list.remove I now, I is supposed to be an index position, and now I is no longer an index position. I don't think it's going to work. So it compiles, and we run it, and we get an error. Okay, you can't use that kind of enhanced for loop in a method that wants to remove stuff. Okay, it says you can't modify. The error says modification exception. You can't modify with the enhanced for loop. So don't forget that. All right. Getting back to the actual problem, once you have it set up correctly, list.remove, let's see if list.getI. Okay, I think that is going to be okay to remove the 6. Let's see if that works. Okay, and now, so I run it. There's a 6. I better run it after I delete it. Okay, compile it again. And now after, let's see if the 6 is gone. And yeah, that 6 is no longer there. We just have 5 and a bunch of 3s. So let's test it with the 5, make sure it works with the 5. Let's see, compile it and run it. And now the 5 gets deleted, no problem. The 2 6s are left and all 4 3s are still in there, but the 5 got removed. Now let's try and delete those 3s, and this is far more interesting. When I try and delete the 3s, I'm going from left to right in the array list, and so I'll remove this 3 here, and that'll work fine. But what happens when I remove this 3? This 3 is in position 2 of the array list. The 3 in position 3 shifts to the left where the old 3 was. And I doesn't know that. I is going to keep on incrementing and go from 2 to 3 and skip over this second 3. The same thing's going to happen down here. We're in this position. We're going to remove that 3 there, And then this 3 is going to shift to the left, and I is going to go plus plus, and we never even checked the second 3. Let's prove it first of all. Okay. We're removing one 3, but not the second 3. Over here, in this pair of 3's, the first 3 gets removed, but not the second 3. So we've heard before that the biggest advantage of arrays is that they size themselves automatically. So when you remove something, the array list changes its size by 1 less. When you add something, it makes the size 1 more. Like when I first make the array list, the size is 0. When I add this 5, the size is 1. When I add the 6, the size is 2, and so on. So at the end here, I've got a size, 7 array list. Now when I delete the first 3, it becomes a size 6 array list. It skips over that one. So this does not work. This remove method does not work. And it's on the AP exam virtually every single year. We had to write it 2 years ago, and I guess they asked us multiple choice questions about it last year. So what you got to do is guard against skipping over that second one. And so if you remove something, you don't want an I++. So one way to fix it is put an I minus minus here. That's the most obvious way for beginning programmers. Not the best way, but that's the most obvious way probably at first to fix it. And there it is. Okay, now both 3's get fixed. Again, this was what we spent all of Friday on in class when we weren't taking the quiz. A smarter way to do it, an easier way to do it, would be to start I at the end of the array list, like list.size minus 1. And then I goes down to 0, and then I minus minus. Then you don't need to worry about the shifting, because the shifting is happening in the same direction as I is moving. You shift from right to left when you delete something, and I is going from right to left, from the biggest position to the smallest position. Okay? What did I do wrong? I forgot a semicolon there. Oops. Okay. And that works also. So going backwards is the simplest way to do it. Go backwards through your array list. That's the easiest way to do it. You can also do it with a while loop. If you go backwards in a while loop, it also is pretty easy. There's no problem going backwards, I don't think. Let's make sure. It works fine. Got rid of all the 3's. And you can even go forwards in a while loop. And then you have to have the increment in a special place, sort of. I less than list. Going forward, this time in the while loop. So I plus plus. Okay, and that works too. So that's 4 ways to do it, right? I just did 4 ways with you. Going forwards in the for loop with the I minus minus combating the I plus plus the first time. You rewind and look at it again. Then we went backwards in a for loop, and then we went in the while loop forwards and backwards. Very tricky unless you try it. You need to be aware of what remove does. It shifts that number to the left, and it's easy to scale.